Welcome to the I Love Wine and Dogs podcast, created, produced, and hosted by Heidi Hubner, with engineering and production by Timothy Stone Dancer Coleman. This show was created to celebrate good wine, amazing pets, and people from around the world who are doing great things in their local communities. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the I Love Wine and Dogs podcast, created, hosted, and produced by the amazing Heidi Hubner. I'm Timothy Stone Dancer Coleman. I am a producer and engineer, and this is my sister over here. How you doing, Heidi?
I'm great. How are you, Timothy?
Doing so good. Doing so good.
But you know what? Because I feel like we are all in this just mode of why are we just so busy? I feel like from the minute I wake up until the minute I actually am ready to sit down, which is never until like late at night, like I just don't know. Like, why is there always a million things happening?
I don't know. And why does it feel different now than it was like 10 years ago? You know what I'm saying? It's like everybody's always had something to do, but I just feel like the time and energy that is happening right now on the planet is so concentrated. And so I never, like, you have to purposefully unwind. You have to give yourself permission to slow down and disconnect so that you can, zen out for at least a couple of minutes. Because if you lay down right away after looking at all your text messages and emails and all the things, your mind is still going and going and going, and it's forever before you get a chance to rest. I don't know. It's crazy.
Well, I love that you said a couple of minutes. Like, that's all we're going to allow ourselves, because it is. It's like, during COVID, I was like, I was doing my meditation and doing, yoga and all these things that were just fulfilling me. And now that is all out the window. I try. I mean, from doing the retreat with Jessica, I do light my intention candle, but I just feel like I deserve more. Why do I deny myself that?
Oh my goodness, that is so powerful. I love that. And you are right. We all deserve more.
I know it is. But so, okay, we need to slow down. But I think you have some exciting news to share, a new project. What are you doing?
I went to this audition, and I am so pleased to announce that I've been cast as a lead role in a show called The Last Grain of Rice. It's going to be off Broadway in a theater that is on 36th Street and Broadway in New York City. We go up for performances starting at the end of September. It's a limited run, but like this is the first time I've been on stage in a theater project in eons, and I just am so grateful and humbled and honored to be a part of this cast.
Oh my gosh, congratulations.
Thank you.
That is wonderful. That is awesome. You have to let me know, because my friends who live in New York, I need to let them know so they can come support. And so I guess now, Jill, we wanted Tim to come out here to LA to try to make a visit. So that's not going to happen.
For a little bit of time, just for a little bit of time.
For rehearsals and everything. But I don't know, God, if I could make it there and, be able to come see you.
Oh my God, that would be phenomenal. That would be phenomenal. So I'll definitely share the dates with you so that you can see like when things are happening. But I got to say, to anybody who has a passion in their heart, to anybody who, whether you've already made a move on it and done some things, or you're just now at the point where you're like, you know what, time does not rewind. I've got to do this or never do this. I'm going to tell you, take that leap of faith. Even if you are scared, it doesn't matter. Do it afraid, because your purpose has no age. It has no time limit. And so, I'm just happy to be a part of it. So thank you for letting me share that. I appreciate it.
That's great. And let's also post that on our social media as well, so people know. Yeah. Fantastic. Well, I think, as always, this show, it's just crazy how it all, like, Jill is supposed to be our guest, because I feel like this kind of winds into who she is and what she started and what she's doing. So, Tim, take it away.
So, hey, listen, we have an amazing guest with us here today. This is one of Heidi's friends. She is going to be my adopted sister from another mister. Jill Dyche is frank, funny, and full of great stories, has been thinking, writing, and speaking about the business value of technology for over 2 decades. She is a popular blogger, the author of 4 books, people. Okay, don't sleep on it. We're bringing you great people. author of 4 books and a sought after speaker. As always, a passionate advocate for animals, Jill Dyche is executive director of Out of the Cage, a Southern California based nonprofit that saves shelter dogs at risk for euthanasia, specializing in senior, medical, and long term stay dogs. Out of the Cage works to get those dogs out of shelters and into loving homes. I'm so ready for you guys to meet Jill. Heidi, take it away.
See, and this is what's so fun because I didn't know all of that part of Jill. I know Jill from the animal rescue world. So it's fun and interesting to know, oh, this is this whole other part inside of her. So, Jill, welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys. I'm thrilled to be here. It's long
Very-
overdue.
Yes. So it was funny. I always ask my guests, do they like wine? And if they do, what type of wine? And so Jill was like, Cabernet and a Pinot. So I was looking in my stash of wines and I already drank the Cab, but I found this Pinot. Well, what can I say? But I found this Pinot from Robert Mondavi. You can see this.
Very nice.
That a friend of mine actually gave me.
Beautiful.
And it's from his private selection.
Whoa.
And it's interesting when, wines have, the one label and then they have like a special label.
Yeah, that's not their typical label. I noticed that.
Yeah, like a little smaller run or whatever. And so I actually did have this before. And it's very yummy, but I'm looking forward to having it again. And when I was tasting it, I felt like it was cherry, a little oaky, a little vanilla. Just a nice, easy wine to have if you want to pop open at the last minute, with friends or, having something for dinner. Not my choice to drink during the day.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Yeah.
That's just me. So Jill, Cabs and Pinots. Have
Yes.
you had this one before?
I have not had that particular cab, but I'm making a mental note. Looks delicious.
Yeah. And this is interesting too, because I always research. And so they're changing the private select name to, it's called Vint, V-I-N-T.
Huh.
So I guess remarketing, rebranding. So it's going to be the same nice quality of wines under a different label.
Like a brand within a brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like the private select is in the Mondavi family and they've been around for 30 years. So this is also to celebrate their 30th birthday. So I'm like, cheers, Robert Mondavi.
Yeah. And it's a beautiful winery. So there's that too. Worth a visit.
Oh, have you been there?
Oh, yeah. No, it's gorgeous there. Yeah.
Well, hello.
Yeah. Yeah. Big fan.
Well, I'm glad I picked this one. I need to make it up there.
Yeah. Any excuse. Any excuse to go to Napa.
Well, okay, so maybe we need to do a girls' trip. Maybe, Tim, when you come in town, we need to just make this all happen
I always
together.
feel left out. I always feel left out when you're inviting people to go and and visit the wineries and all the things. I'm like, no, not without me. So yes, that would be a wonderful celebration after the show is over in October, or late October, to come out and just, meet everybody face to face that we've been interviewing. I think that would be so much fun.
That would be fun. We'd love to meet you face to face. Have a little wine.
Yes.
Absolutely. Or a lot. All right. Well, I'm going to dive into our interview. And again, thank you, Jill, for being here. So you come to Rescue from a long career in high technology, in the high tech world, which is not my world at all. So what did you do professionally? And then why did you make this transition to rescue?
Yeah, so I had my own management consulting firm, and what I did was basically go around to big companies and help them with their strategies. And, it was, big organizations like American Express. We worked internationally, so the French National Railroad, the German CIA, the Bundeskriminalamt. Now I have to kill you. And so we had a lot of different clients that were basically looking to us to help them achieve their corporate strategies through technology and data. And I was a road warrior. I had over 2 million miles on Delta. And, it gets tiring after a while, and you start solving the same problems. It's different companies, and all my clients were amazing. But I remember thinking to myself, gosh, if I ever sell my firm, I'm going to go help dogs. And we were already a little active in shelters. There was a woman who was just taking video at Baldwin Park Shelter every day, and she would just go along the kennels of all these dogs with her camera phone. And I thought, I can do that. I can do that at a shelter. And so started to do that and started to not only get to know the volunteers at various shelters, but get to know the dogs. And I remember we started, advocating for dogs. And then we started losing some of the dogs we were advocating for. And I thought, well, maybe we need to be a nonprofit just so we can maybe help these dogs a little bit more proactively and formally. And that's when I sold my company. And it was one of those things where, what do I do now? Well, I promised myself I would do this. So I'm going to do it for a year. I'm just going to go full time and rescue dogs. And that was like 6 years ago. So still doing it. Things have changed, and, but it's rewarding in a different way. Right. So, we are saving as many lives as we can. It's not enough, but that's how we got started in it. And it was slow, and we've been doing it. And now we're saving hundreds of dogs a year, which is really good, through partnerships as well as through our own rescue. And it's just been fulfilling and a struggle, and rewarding and stressful.
So I want to back up a second. Did you go to college for this IT world, for your management, for the company that you had? Were you always interested in that? Like, where did that come from?
Crazy. I was an English major at UCLA. I mean, and my parents were like, "What are you going to do with an English?" And I interned at a high tech company as a tech writer right out of college, and I learned this new technology called relational databases, which is now very mainstream, but at the time it was a specialty, and I became a specialist in it just through writing about it. And so, I leveraged that beyond just tech writing and became, it was the basis of my expertise, where these companies really needed the help, and we could provide it in a very tactical way. And so, yeah, it was a complete surprise. And I think my parents were relieved that the tuition was not for naught, but yeah, totally serendipitously.
Can I ask you a quick question? I work with a lot of youth here in the Bronx, specifically in the South Bronx. And one of the things that is really difficult to get them to understand is they're kind of like seeking their purpose, their passion, something they're interested in, is to tell them, to convince them to do internships. You just gave a great description of kind of like what that led to in your life already. But
Yeah.
how invaluable is it?
Who knew? I mean, I had nothing to do that summer. And so when that opportunity came up, it's just about, particularly at that age, just saying yes to everything. And so you end up dabbling in different things that don't stick. But you know what? Those experiences add up, right? So it in a lot of ways, it was a real leap for me, because I was learning John Milton pastoral poems, and all of a sudden somebody wants me to talk about canonical aggregate subqueries, right? And it's like,
What?
you know so yeah, it was a complete departure from my education, and I have to say that my education was not a waste of time. I ended up, coming back to writing in a lot of different ways. I ended up, blogging and writing a bunch of books, and it served me well in retrospect. At the time, I went to night school to learn programming languages because I was really afraid that I was not going to make it in the high tech world. So I made the investment and I tried a bunch of different things. And I guess that's what I would, leave that internship discussion with, is just say yes.
Amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
Here at Tangent, we explore the possibilities of cool climate white wines rooted in the Edna Valley and the Central Coast. These wines challenge expectations and prove that every day can and should be a new adventure. Our innovative spirit is channeled into everything we produce, from colorful cans to screw-capped bottles to our wine itself. We deliver wines with the promise of being vibrant, fresh, and delightfully different. Find us on Instagram and Facebook, or call us at 805-269-8200.
Great, Tim. Great question. And because I feel like when we were growing up, it was, what are you going to be? What's your degree going to be in college? Tim and I have talked about this with past guests and, where his youth, the kids are and everywhere. And I remember I was like, I'm going to be a professional dancer. I'm not going to college. And my mom said, oh, you are going to go to college and you're going to get a degree. And I did. And I'm grateful. I have wonderful friends from Chapman. Thank God my degree was, and I'm not knocking getting a dance degree. Let me make that very clear. I ended up getting a in PR, in communications with a PR emphasis, and a dance minor, because my teacher said, Heidi, either you've got it or you don't. So, you got to go out and audition. You're an excellent dancer. Let's get a different degree, and you're going to audition. And I got a job as soon as I got out of school. But along the way, when you're saying say yes to things and we just don't know how this path goes, so in between gigs, and I'm going to make this really short, there was this, my friend turned me on to this company where we were models. Okay, we were not models. We were at stores selling Swiffer mops or Oil of Olay, right? Like at the drugstores, Rite Aid, CVS. But the money was great. You could say yes or no. It was embarrassing when your friends would come in and they're like, well, what are you doing? And I'm like, would you like to buy some Oil of Olay? This is great for your skin. My skin looks great because I'm only 22. Buy this. But it taught me skills when I look back now as an adult, how to talk to people, how to gain confidence, how to network. And some of the jobs were actually really cool, which paid a lot of money, that we were actually, doing things that were more fulfilling, and made a lot of great friends along the way. So say yes.
And don't you look back and just let yourself off the hook? I mean, if I knew then what I knew now, man, was I putting pressure on myself. My parents were asking, I'm thinking, God, everybody with an English major is being a lawyer. I don't want to be a lawyer. What am I going to do? And now I look back on that and God, what I put myself through, and it was all freaking worth it.
Right. Thank you. And just doing what you love. And I think that's the thing, not everybody, we've talked about this, not everybody is cut out for school. And that's okay. We've got a lot of beautiful minds out there who are creative, but they need to go for what it is that they want to try, and know that everything is not always going to work out or always be great or fun. And that's okay. You'll take the next leap and bound, but don't stay somewhere where you're miserable.
That's right.
Good point.
And then, again, the animals have always been a part of my life. Since I was a kid, I was rescuing before I even knew what that was. And, now with the people in my world and what they're doing. So taking it back to Jill. So starting out of the cage, you said that was about 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah, 2016 is when we became a nonprofit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then coming from a business to a rescue, what surprised you the most, and what were you also not prepared for?
Yeah. Well, in management consulting, one of the rules is that you kind of meet the client where it's at, right? We used to have this thing where, you give the client advice and, they may or may not take it. And, you kind of tell them twice, you put it in writing once, and then you let the client do what they want to do, right? So I got into rescue, and I started to look at how shelters were doing their business. And boy, did I have a lot of ideas. I had ideas about how technology could help shelters and how analytics could help shelters. And, wow, if we started to keep data about all these dogs and their outcomes, we could actually apply artificial intelligence to some of these problems. And you could ask Alexa, hey, Alexa, what red listed dogs are in the shelter closest to my zip code? And, which ones are the most urgent? And Alexa would tell you, and you'd drive to the shelter and you'd save that dog. You know what? The shelters weren't ready for any of that, arguably they're still not, right? So, one of the key learnings for me, and I come in with like all these ideas and the shelters just aren't ready. They're not set up for it. They're an entrenched bureaucracy. There are people with the will, but, not the power, so, it was very sobering for me to walk into this kind of institution and see the potential, but actually for the first time, nobody was actually listening to me. So the good news about that is I thought, well, you know what? How can I help? I mean, if innovation and strategy aren't going to stick here, how can I help? And the answer was just start saving dogs and apply some of your writing skills and some of your marketing skills and some of your branding skills to helping dogs get out. And so, but it was a real lesson in, nobody knows what your background is. Nobody cares. Just save some freaking dogs.
It's like we always say on the show, you have to take step one.
Yeah.
You don't know what the end is going to look like. All the bits and pieces and minutia are going to work themselves out day by day, but nothing happens if you don't take step one.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And is AI in the future of, shelter dog rescue? I don't know. But, what I do know is, how to market a dog, find it a home and go get it.
Nice.
And you do a great job of doing that, Jill. You guys, we'll give her website information at the end of the show, but, you just do a great job with that. It really just shows you who these dogs are and their personalities and, the volunteers that you have. It's just, you guys do a great job. I know it's just hard. It's like, how would you describe the state of the shelters now? And we are not in a good place, people. I feel like we're 20 steps backwards.
Yeah. Yeah. In the decade we've been doing this, it's the worst it's ever been. It's the planets colliding, right? It's, people during COVID were getting puppies. A lot of people decided to breed their dogs during COVID. What we're seeing now is the systemic reaction to that is that those puppies became teenagers and people put them back in the shelters. All of the litters that happen, those dogs now are, they don't have spots. People were overly optimistic in terms of the money they could make off of their backyard breeding. So, just the public awareness of rescuing and adopting versus buying a dog when, you see a cute dog on Craigslist for $500 and you always wanted a Shih Tzu Pomeranian mix, so there's a lot to contend with now. A lot has changed. And I think, initially everybody was doing the happy dance during COVID because there were empty kennels at shelters. And now not only are those kennels full, but they're often full with 2 or 3 dogs at a time. So we've got our work cut out for us. And it's difficult. And on top of that, a lot of rescues are throwing in the towel. And so we don't have the channels for a lot of these dogs that we have in the past. There are fewer of us. And so there's that as well. It's just hard. It's not even about money as much as we need funding. It's places to take these dogs. We can't save them if we have no place to take them. And, fosters are down, adopters are down. And so we're left with a finite capacity, which is really brutal, because some of these dogs are perfectly great dogs that are wondering what they're doing where they are, and some of them aren't making it. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bummer.
Well, and Jill, I also heard that some of the shelters, a lot of them actually have dogs in crates and kennels and hallways. Like
Yeah. Yeah,
it's,
most of them do, as a matter of fact. And actually, one of the dogs we saved most recently, that's how I met him. I was in back at the shelter, and I just saw this kind of gray and white pitty in this cage, essentially, and that's where he had been living. And it's one of those stories, I just couldn't forget about him. I was there to get another dog, but I couldn't forget about him. And I was obnoxious. I reached out to the volunteers again and again. How's Dodger? How's Dodger? And ultimately, I found somebody in New York who wanted him, and we got him on transport, and we sent him out there. And now, he's got, her son is his person, and,
ugh,
they love him. They adore him, thank God, and we've got a lot of stories like that, but we don't have enough.
yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, it gets me very emotional about what's going on right now.
Yeah. Yeah,
How
and
is
it's and
running a
it's a human
rescue?
problem, right? And it's an
Yeah.
education problem, and it's a societal problem, and it's a cultural problem, and it's a systemic problem with shelters really doing the best they can, and the staff doing the best they can. But in LA, the mayor didn't give us or the shelter system the budget that they really needed to staff up, and so we're contending with a lot of the systemic and political challenges that go with running a municipal organization.
Yeah, I think, one of the things that you just said is also really like the $1 million nugget, is that it's also cultural. And, I had told Heidi in a previous episode about a neighbor of mine who has a Great Dane. And this is just a regular apartment building. And the thing that I think saves that specific story and situation is that he walks her at least 3 times a day.
Yeah. Yeah. And the good news, to your point, is it is a life, the good news is it's a lifestyle change. The bad news is it's a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
So yeah, so people do need to be aware that even the cute little dogs need time. They need work. They need commitment. They need structure. They need decompression, just like the big dogs do.
Yeah.
Hey there, I'm Lance Bass, and this is Chip. And for more than 100 years, American Humane has been protecting animals in times of crisis. And if you're like me, your pet means the world to you, and you want to keep them safe if disaster strikes. American Humane's first responders are always prepared to rescue animals in danger, but you can also help. To learn more about disaster planning and keeping your animals safe, please visit AmericanHumane.org.
How has running a rescue changed you, Jill?
Yeah. It's funny because it's slowed me down in a lot of ways. You guys were talking about meditation, and Heidi, you might remember this. I was actually attacked pretty badly at a shelter
Yep.
a year or so ago. And I had some serious PTSD after that. I've got the wounds on my leg to prove it. And I thought, well, am I going to be able to do this? And, for a while, I didn't even want to handle any dogs. It wasn't anything that I did, and it wasn't anything the dog did. It really did just come out of nowhere. So, I started as a result of that to meditate. And in a lot of ways, that kind of slowing me down and making me, just to use a Buddhist term, unattached to outcomes, has been really liberating, because as a go consultant, we needed to show progress. We needed to show results. We needed to have deliverables all the time. Type A in my DNA, right? That'll kill you in rescue. It's not sustainable. But at the same time, it's also given me, a renewed energy to help the dogs I can and not make excuses and to know who those dogs are. And, we used to take a lot of very difficult behavior dogs. And now, the choices are much harder when there's a dog that's been dumped by a family and is red listed because it just is confused about where it is. I mean, those dogs actually come around pretty quickly. So, do we focus on those dogs at the expense of others so that we can move more dogs, out of the system more quickly? So, the choices are harder than ever. But, going back to, coming from business into rescue and how has it changed me? It's made me more aware of my reactions to things, right? I mean, again, back to meditation for a second, it's not necessarily, it's not that you can change things, but you can actually calibrate your reaction to things. And I think that's what's helped me stay in it is I can control my reactions to things.
Listen, if we could control our reactions to everything, the world would be in a better place.
Yeah, for sure.
Because, we know that, boy, you get an email and you read it the wrong way and it's like you want to fire back, and it's like, no, breathe. 10 breaths, breathe, come back to it. And then it's like, oh, well, that's not what they were saying. But for whatever your brain and, just everything, and I really do try to just like take that, like, okay, take a breath, take a beat, don't react. And boy, it's hard in rescue.
Yeah. Or leave it on the table and come back to it. I mean, if I can just give something some space, I mean, I have so many people asking for help, and, the temptation is just no. I mean, I can leave it. And they're just not asking me for help. They're asking 100 people for help. So I may never hear from them again, but yeah, just, take a beat.
It's a great skill to be able to listen to the heart of a person and not necessarily get caught up in the delivery. Not everybody
100%.
is a great communicator.
Right.
Yep. 100%, Timothy.
So, Jill, just to stay mentally healthy, is meditation, is that your go-to? Are there other things that you're doing? Because, compassion fatigue is real working in this world. And I'm always just curious, what other people do to just for you, for the good of you.
Yeah. We still take vacation. A lot of my friends in rescue just, I can't leave right now. I can't leave the dogs. I can't, there's just too many. I mean, we still take vacation. I just got back from Big Sur. It was actually interesting because on the drive back down, I just started having new ideas and some, creating new plans for some dogs that have been on my radar, and I just think it cleared my head. So I think that's a big thing is just, taking that break and, getting that change of scenery. So that's another thing besides the meditation, and just, trying to just get away from the dog world, like for at least a day a week and just focusing on my stuff. There's a lot of stuff. I mean, people wouldn't believe the administrative stuff involved in rescue, right? So it's not just I'm with dogs 6 days a week. I'm doing the paperwork. Heidi, you're familiar with the end of month reporting that the shelters require in terms of the disposition of the dogs you rescued that month. Well, we rescued 20. Look at it. These are the dogs we rescued in July.
Wow.
Right? So, I mean, right. So, I mean, but you've got to account for it. So, I mean, yes, people see the videos in the shelters and go, oh, how fun, So yeah, we got to contend with that as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's a business. Like you said, you're not just with dogs and playing with dogs. I mean, the same thing in my world. It's like, I love what I do and it's great, but I still have to be accountable. I still have to do reports. I still have to do hours. everything that goes along with it. It's a lot.
Nobody gets that. I mean, it's so interesting. It's like, hey, Jill, can you be at North Central at 10 a.m. this morning to see a dog that it's like, whoa, I mean, yeah, nobody gets that. There's back office crap. And none of us, it's just like having a business, right? We start businesses because we know what we're good at, not because we love the administration part of it, right? But, it always comes with that.
Absolutely. So when we're done, you and I are going to set a date, because my brain is like tick, tick, tick with some things and some ideas that I've had. So I want to canoodle with you.
Yeah.
If we did that now, the show would go on for 2 days straight.
Let's ideate. We need wine though, Heidi.
No problem. No problem. So one of my favorite questions I always love to ask, if I had a magic wand and I could grant you some wishes, and they can be anything, what would that one or two things be?
Empty kennels in every shelter for the right reasons, right? Because the dogs found loving homes. That would be number one. And just, raising the collective consciousness that these are lives. And, Aristotle said, for all living things are ensouled and striving to participate in the universe. Oof. And, I think, let's give these animals a chance to participate, right? And so that would be the magic wand too, is not only getting, dogs out of their cages, but, letting them lead fulfilling lives and thrive.
I always say, people have to understand animals are living beings with feelings and emotion. They want to be with us. We have made them want to be with us. We have domesticated them. The same thing for cats, bunnies. We're just inundated the shelters with all sorts of animals. It's not just dogs. We are lovers of all animals. But, I look at my dogs. I look at Ripley, my puppy, who's 14 months old. Rescued him when he was 2 months old. And guys, puppies are a lot of work. They're a lot of work. And I haven't had a puppy in 30 plus years. And boy, did it remind me how hard they are, but not if you are doing and have the right tools. Training is critical. Training is critical. You need to be the boss. There are, many places to go. It doesn't have to be expensive. There are YouTube videos. You can reach out to people, but it's like having a child. And, why are puppies tearing things up? Because that's how they experience things through their mouth. They don't have hands like kids, but babies also put everything in their mouth. That's how they're learning. It's the same with, dogs and, understanding that. And, Jill, we say to people who've got young kids, please don't get a puppy. Let's get a dog that's like 4 or 5 years old, 3 years old, looking at what is the right dog, or maybe it's not a dog, maybe it's a cat that's going to fit into your lifestyle so it can be forever. Like, we have to think. We cannot be reactive to, that's cute, I want it. And then you're like, well, what the hell am I doing? Yeah. This stupid dog doesn't know how to go outside and potty. Well, you didn't teach them. They're very smart. They're smarter than we know.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. And that goes with, we just adopted a dog from our rescue that we had for over a year. And he's a German Shepherd, and he was hit by a car. And so when people saw him, they saw his limp. We got him surgery. We fixed him up. We got him all better. Super nice, dog-friendly, sweet dog. But nobody wanted a damaged dog with a limp. And it's very easy to feel sorry for him because he's cute and he's got this expression. But you know what? We put him through his paces. And, we make sure that, he knows what the rules are because, people were just, the automatic response was, oh, no, this dog will play you. I mean, so yeah, I mean, exactly. So, there's an education process that needs to happen with the public, and it's a big job. It's just a big job, and it's going to take, I mean, Jerry Garcia said somebody's got to do something, and it's just incredibly pathetic that it has to be us, right? But it has to be a multi-pronged approach to educate people about dog ownership. And I think that's the advantage of rescues like us is we provide that counseling. We have, infographics that we've created. We have, explanations of how to integrate, pets, and that kind of education is kind of like a drip, drip, drip. And ideally, it needs to be more institutionalized and broader. And, everybody's trying as hard as they can, but public education, it's really the root cause of a lot of the problems that we've got.
Absolutely. Is there anything we didn't talk about, Tim? Anything that sparks another question or you're curious about?
I mean, first, I just want to say, and I think a lot of the folks who leave comments on this particular episode, this is such an emotionally connected episode. It's hard to even come up with a question because I really feel the sense of urgency on behalf of the animals that are being rescued. Not just the urgency to prevent them from being put down, but the urgency to show them love and the urgency for them to find, as Jill said so perfectly, their purpose.
From your lips to God's ears, my friend.
Exactly.
Or whatever higher being you believe in.
Yeah.
So
Jill,
just to end on a hopeful note, tomorrow we are saving a dog who's a year and a half old. He's been at the shelter for a year. So, he's a high energy boy. He's athletic. He's happy. He's fun. He's friendly. The thing I think that has saved him from being euthanized is that he has a very happy kennel presence after a year and a half, which is singular.
Yeah.
And we're gonna help him. And you know what? It's easy to commoditize dogs, but really, we see every dog that we save as an individual, and we're going to meet him where he is, and we're going to help him.
Thank you. That is a great way to end the show on a good positive note. Jill, where can people find out more information, how to find out about Out of the Cage?
Yeah, you can go to our website. It's outofthecage.org, and we've got all our adoptable dogs on there, and we've got some blog posts. We've got some inspiration. We've got some, documentation and infographics. And so, yeah, you can check us out there. And then Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, we're at Out of the Cage.
Great. We'll post that as well on our social media. I want to thank you so much for being on the show and for sharing everything. And I'm just going to cry. I just wish you continued success and all the hard work that you do.
Yeah, back at you, Heidi. Seriously, you've been around the rescue community for a long time, and you're super well respected, and you're in a lot of ways a real visionary. So we appreciate you right back.
Thank you. And Tim, as always, it's a pleasure doing this show with you.
I love you, my sister. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for this episode of the I Love Wine and Dogs podcast. You can find us online. It's all one word at I Love Wine and Dogs. We will see you again, as always, at the top of every month with a brand new episode.
Take care, everybody. Thank you.